Countries around the world are watching with great anticipation that the South Korean leader, who played the role of mediator and facilitator to ensure the peace process and denuclearization talks, can help break the impasse and ensure efforts to achieve peace and denuclearization move forward. We are joined in the studio today by Professor Min Jung-hoon of the Korea National Diplomatic Academy. Thank you so much for making time for us today, Professor. We'll be constantly turning to you for your insights of the developments from Washington. Well, first of all, ahead of this meeting with President Trump, President Moon Jae-in sat down with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and National Security Advisor John Bolton and asked for their continued support in moving the peace process forward on the Korean Peninsula. President Moon said it's crucial to achieve results through top-down diplomacy while also highlighting the importance of maintaining momentum for dialogue between Pyongyang and Washington. Pompeo and Bolton also promised to keep the talks going with North Korea at various levels. Also at the meeting was South Korea's Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa and National Security Advisor Chung Eui-yong and Special Representative Stephen Biegun and U.S. Ambassador to South Korea Harry Harris. President Moon later met Vice President Mike Pence, also to discuss, of course, North Korea. And now let's turn to our Professor Min Jung-hoon, who is making valuable time for us at this very difficult hour to be here with us. Good to have you with us, Professor.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Well, first of all, let's begin with what appears to be a bit of a gap between the U.S. and North Korea.
Right. As many people know about that, so the two countries, North Korea and the U.S., got some gap in terms of the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, specifically the denuclearization of North Korea. The North Korea got the argument or position that the North Korea cannot complete the denuclearization if the United States does not provide the corresponding measures, because the North Korea, according to its argument, North Korea had to develop its nuclear arms to survive from the threats from the United States and possibly the South Korea. So without the corresponding measures like the security guarantee measures and the lifting the economic sanctions on the North Korea, the country cannot denuclearize itself. Because without the nuclear weapons, North Korea does not have any kind of the specific means or the ways to protect itself from the United States. Meanwhile, the United States got the strong argument, like a kind of counter argument from the sour experience with the North Korea in terms of their talks in the 1990s and the 2000s. That the North Korea just got some economic benefits and just walked away from the negotiations. So the Trump administration, U.S. administration, got the strong argument that only after North Korea completes denuclearization, then U.S. could provide the corresponding measures for the denuclearization measures. So two countries got a very different point of views about who comes first, like on the matter of the North Korea's denuclearization.
What do you think was the boiling point or the falling out point in the Hanoi summit in terms of the gap that already existed between the two sides?
Well, the Hanoi summit was the second summit between the two countries. And as you know, the first summit was held in the last June, June last year, and they got the pretty good the agreement. It's like the historic starting points in terms of the establishing new relationships between the two countries and working together to establish kind of a peace regime on the Korean Peninsula and working together to achieve the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. And then after the first summit, the two countries was supposed to work together in terms of the denuclearizing North Korea and providing corresponding measures by the United States. But the two countries got some kind of difficulties in terms of narrowing down their point of views in terms of how North Korea goes forward in terms of denuclearizing itself. And after having some difficulties, the two countries got their second summit in Hanoi. But I think it was not easy for two countries to narrow down the gaps even in Hanoi. Yes, so that's why the two countries failed to reach an agreement in Hanoi. So that's why we got some kind of difficulty, the time points that now, and the South Korea leader, President Moon Jae-in, tried to narrow down the gap again to revive the momentum for talks.
Professor Min, do you think it was more of one side expecting greater compromise from the other, or expecting it, or rather is it a degree of brinkmanship between the two sides? They are, of course, they do have a history as enemies.
Well, if we think about the imbalance of power between the two countries, it would be the appropriate thing that North Korea would compromise a little bit more against the United States. But it's kind of a compromise, and the two countries got the very different. There's arguments, a point of view about that. So the South Korea, and as the main player of the matter, the South Korea tried to provide just the compromise, just standing in the middle points, and try to bring the two countries again on the dialogue table. So I don't think that what South Korea is trying to do is force any of the party to give up a little more and something like that. Just to try to meet in the middle. Okay? That's the point, I think.
And we're seeing, of course, footage from the White House. The Oval Office is where the two leaders will sit down for talks. Many countries around the world, especially here in South Korea, we are looking forward to the meeting produce some visible results. Do you fear the expectation might be a little bit too high?
Well, I want to say that I'm a little bit cautious in terms of expecting the
guarded optimism.
Yeah, optimism, and there's some kind of the visible outcomes from today's meeting, because we are trying to revive the momentum for the talks between North Korea and the United States, and the two countries still got very strong arguments, and they are very different. So after the Hanoi summit, the two countries still got such strong arguments. So today's the summit is just the starting point, just the one side, the touch between the South Korea and the United States. So even if the U.S. got some kind of agreement from for what the President Moon provide, but still the U.S. wanted the wait before it listen to what North Korea would do for the U.S. the kind of the measure or the movement. So I think that we may not see some kind of visible arguments from today's summit, but still I expect that the two leaders, President Moon and the President Trump, could have some kind of positive outcomes, but they don't want to reveal that outcomes today, because we need to wait. After coming back Seoul, President Moon may send another special representative to Pyongyang, or he could have some kind of one point to the summit, like the Panmunjom summit, what happened last year with the President, the Chairman Kim. So that kind of some kind of the series of the meetings among the three countries. So before we could see some kind of visible outcomes, we need to wait, like until the President Moon would touch the Chairman Kim, and it will take us some time.
Well, we're seeing the flags raised by what appears to be the honor guards at the White House. We're hearing a lot of siren and shutters, cameras flashing as if to get ready to welcome the two leaders. But so far, it's taking a while. We're still hearing the sirens, possibly the sidecars and the cars surrounding the president's entourage and their vehicles. Of course, it's taking a while, and some some people would speculate that this meeting, although it's significant from looking out from South Korea here, it's not exactly as widely covered or hotly anticipated from outside of Korea, it seems.
Well, still the many players and the international community expect the United States to remain the strong sanctions against North Korea, because the many international communities the players think that North Korea has not taken serious or the significant progress in terms of the denuclearizing itself. But yet again, I want to point out that the South Korea is trying to revive the momentum. So we got some stalemate after Hanoi. So it's just the starting point. So it could be the relevant, or it makes sense that the outside players, the other international players expected got some kind of low expectations about what South Korea is trying to do at this point, but we'll see what kind of visible outcomes. But it'll take some time, so we need to wait.
Could we have done more before the breakdown in the Hanoi summit? If there was some options for us to ensure a smooth sailing or some degree of agreements reached during the summit between the two leaders, what would they have been for South Korea's part?
Well, we still got the initial, very important initial stage in terms of the North Korea-U.S. negotiations. And most importantly, I think that the two countries are still the lack of the mutual trust. So what South Korea has been trying to do is to narrowing down the gap between the two countries and try to enhance the mutual trust between the two countries. So South Korean role is to facilitate the relations between the North Korea and the U.S. two countries. So the South Korea is trying to provide some kind of the trust to North Korea in order to provide the base or the basis that the North Korea first try to North Korea trust the South Korea, and based on the enhanced the trust on the South Korea, North Korea would be able to trust what South Korea argues in terms of the enhancing the relations with the United States. And the same thing goes to the United States. So still what South Korea is trying to do most is to enhance mutual trust between North Korea and the United States. And so it means that the mutual trust and the communication, mutual trust is by far the most important the factor that the three countries, South Korea, North Korea, and United States, try to secure at this point.
With two sides with rather unique leaders of unique characteristics, North Korea and the United States blowing hot and cold, in some degrees unpredictable, not knowing where they're going to bounce off to, South Korea has been a source of constance between them.
Well, I don't think that the North Korean and the United States leaders are very unique or a little bit different from the predecessors. I don't think so. But the North Korea is kind of a dictator country, and the President Trump is the president of the United States. But they are trying to have a little bit different approach in terms of the negotiations between the two countries, like a top-down approach. So that's the difference from the previous negotiations between the two countries. And in terms of the top-down approach, the two leaders, Chairman Kim and the President Trump, they are trying to make an agreements at the top level. And after having the agreements between the two leaders,
Professor, we'll have to cut to the scene right now to focus on the developments from Washington. we are seeing President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump stepping out to welcome the guests, with the honor guard standing ready with a salute. So it's said to be about 2 hours long. Would you say that is a lengthy, laid-back session or a squeezed, rapid session between the two leaders?
Well, then, although the first ladies are joining the one-on-one meeting, but they will have the separate meetings after taking pictures all together. So I think that so remaining the 10 minutes would be enough.
Right. Here's the South Korean president and the First Lady stepping out of the vehicle as we speak. Not a great angle with the VIPs covered by the vehicle. There they are. There's certainly a sense of familiarity between the four of them. Not the first time that they're greeting each other in their respective elements. Speaking of soft diplomacy, we've seen a little bit of lack of that element in the past, right, in some of the summits in the recent summits that's held. So it's good to see the First Ladies spending some time together to provide some positive input to the two leaders' negotiations and discussions.
Yes, and it is known that it is the first time that the South Korean president and the First Lady got some kind of invitation from the U.S. president and the First Lady to the Oval Office.
Right, it is a significant a step forward. Actually, anything that's being done by this administration, especially involving North Korea's willingness to change its ways, is a historic step forward, especially for a nation that's divided in two, still in a state of armistice. President Moon Jae-in, he has been tasked with the role of mediator, some would say facilitator as well.
Yeah, yes, you're right. And as I mentioned earlier, the President Moon is trying to facilitate the negotiations between North Korea and the United States. Unfortunately, South Korea, although it's just a main player for the matters covering the Korean Peninsula, but in terms of the history that South Korea did not take part in the armistice after the Korean War in 1953. In terms of that, the fact South Korea has not been recognized by the North Korea that South Korea is the main player in terms of the negotiations among North Korea, United States, and South Korea, and other countries. But in terms of the active facilitating role that the President Moon has taken this time, North Korea and the United States have recognized the South Korea as the main player on the matter. So we got a very good chance to resolve the nuclear weapon problems covering the Korean Peninsula. So that's why the South Korea is still actively pursuing the facilitating role, and probably if we succeed in achieving the good outcomes in terms of the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, then South Korea, unlike the past experience, South Korea could get the good benefit or the credit from the results.
Right, we've positioned ourselves quite well so far. When it comes to making a deal for President Moon Jae-in, many people anticipate that he will go for a good enough deal. But is it good enough at this point?
Well, again, as I mentioned earlier, the North Korea and the U.S. they failed to reach an agreement in Hanoi. So the most important thing at this point is to bring the two countries back to the dialogue table. So as I mentioned, the good enough deal is just a compromise. Considering the arguments or the point of views that the North Korea and U.S. have taken, just trying to make them meet in the middle. So, and the early harvest means the frontal loading or just the small progress in terms of the first North Korea providing kind of the Yongbyon plus Alpha measure, or just trying to give up the Yongbyon nuclear facilities, and for that the denuclearization measure, U.S. could provide some kind of the low-level security guarantee measures, along with some kind of the economic sanction, the relief, like the provide exemptions about the two Korea's economic cooperations.
President Moon Jae-in has been the voice of common reason between the three of them. Could there possibly a need for maybe a different approach, a different angle, or a different attitude when it comes to dealing with these two?
Well, still again after Hanoi, they got the different point of views, but I don't think that they have certainly abruptly changed their positions after Hanoi.
It's always been there.
Yes, always there, but still there. In terms of the changes in the situations, in terms of the negotiations, the two countries got sometimes got this point of the arguments, and other times that point of arguments, especially United States. Before the Hanoi summit, so the U.S. Was focused on the providing or the having the step-by-step and synchronous approach. But after Hanoi, it is focused on this the comprehensive overall approach, all in one, or the all or nothing approach. So, but the U.S. has taken the two aspects of the argument from the beginning. So it's always been there, but in terms of changes of the negotiations, sometimes the one aspect of the arguments emerged, and other times the other aspect of the arguments just going up. But the North Korea has got just one very important core arguments, like the synchronous and the step-by-step approach. So it means that the North Korea want to have want to receive some kind of corresponding measures from the United States, and the North Korea thinks that it has taken some important measures before it received any kind of the corresponding measures from the United States, like the dismantling Punggye, the nuclear facilities, and the Dongchangli, the missile, the engine, the test sites, and just to return some of the remains of the American soldiers.
Right. From their perspective, these are grand gestures worthy of some bigger returns from the U.S.
Well, but as you mentioned, the U.S. got a different point of views.
Right.
Yes, so that's why it was not easy for them to make a progress in terms of denuclearization. But I want to also say that denuclearization absolutely is the key to everything. But North Korea want to have the other things, with the denuclearization, the nuclear weapons, so is kind of the only way of making North Korea survive from
It's their only card and the only means they know of existence and survival for North Korea. That is, it's not easy for them to give up the new card.
So what I want to say is that what North Korea want to get from the United States is the two things: security guarantee measures and the lifting the economic sanctions. But from North Korean point of view, only talking about the denuclearization is not satisfying the approach for the North Korea. So North Korea want to get the multiple things that going together, like the first, the North Korea has argued that it can go through the denuclearization measures only when the U.S. provides some kind of only when the North Korea got some kind of the achievement in terms of having the better relationship with the United States. So if we only talk about the denuclearization, then it would not be easy that the North Korea would follow what U.S. and the South Korea want. The enhancing the relationship between the North Korea and the United States should go with the denuclearization matters.
Right, but of course, if anyone knows North Korea, it's not an easy matter. The importance of having the nuclear card for North Korea is a very sensitive topic.
You're right. But then, and the denuclearization is a very important the card for the North Korea. So that's why the North Korea want to get some substantial the corresponding measures from the United States before it completely gives up the nuclear weapons and nuclear capabilities.
Well, naysayers would say that they're only holding on to it and using it for as a bargaining chip. It could also be said that for them to give that up, they need to see something more substantial from the U.S.
Yes, right. Yes, so that's why the two countries are still negotiating each other.
Lack of trust in some degree.
Yes, right. And lack of trust and mutual trust. Yes, and so politically, if they can make some progress and if they can enhance the mutual trust, then and we could see the more progress, the more easily.
How would you rate Donald Trump's measure of making this historic gesture of reaching out to North Korea and actually delivering on what was promised to actually sit down with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un for talks? Before this happened, we did not really see this happening, right?
Yeah, right.
Before he was elected president, at least.
Right. So that's why some experts say that it's kind of a Trump factor in terms of the having the negotiations between the two countries. So the President Trump's decision to talk with the Chairman Kim, although the many experts in the United States have argued that North Korea has not taken serious or the substantial measures in terms of denuclearizing itself, but President Trump has argued that North Korea has got the very important the measures like the stopping nuclear and the missile provocation after the having talks with President Trump. So in the United States there have been the very pessimistic views about President Trump's approach, but President Trump has argued that his relationship with Chairman Kim is still good, and he expects the positive outcomes from the negotiations with the North Korea, and he still trusts the Chairman Kim. So that's the core of the top-down approach. So that's why still North Korea, even after the failing an agreement in Hanoi, but still the North Korea still remain in the negotiations with the United States.
Isn't it a more common belief from a diplomatic perspective that diplomacy is better carried out from bottom up instead of top down?
Well, it's not easy to say which approach is better or the worse.
This is a rather unique situation, though.
Well, but they're unique because we have not seen that kind of approach before. It's just first time to try that kind of top-down approach. So many people think that it's a very unique, but a very important historic the opportunity to achieve the denuclearization of North Korea. Think about the characteristics that North Korea has in terms of political system and other things.
And rigid hierarchy, of course.
Yes. So many people think that many people say that before the two leaders met in Hanoi, there were some kind of working level talks between the Special Representative Steve Biegun and his counterpart Kim Young-chol. But when they talked about the denuclearization and when the Biegun tried to say something about denuclearization, then the Kim Young-chol answered, no, I have no authority to talk about denuclearization. Only the Supreme Leader, Kim Jong-un, Chairman Kim, could talk about that. So please let the two leaders talk about the denuclearization in Hanoi. So that clearly shows how the North Korean political system works. So Chairman Kim only could make the important decisions about the denuclearization itself. So that's the different situation from the South Korea and the United States, and that's why we expect some positive outcomes from the top-down approach, because President Trump could persuade Chairman Kim to make a decision, like they agree, like a big deal in terms of giving up the nuclear capabilities of the country.
Well, what about the timing of President Moon Jae-in moving in to talk to President Trump since the fallout from the Hanoi summit? Is it too early, too late, or just right?
Well, there could be the different point of views about what timing could be the best for President Moon to stand in the middle of the two countries to bring two countries back on the dialogue table. But I think that after Hanoi, the three countries, especially North Korea and the U.S., two countries got enough time to review what happened in Hanoi, like the 1 month period. And the South Korea or the President Moon just waited before he could listen to something or some kind of response from the two countries. And first, he got the response from the United States. That's why President Moon flew to Washington today to talk with President Trump about the denuclearization matter. So that I think that President Moon got enough wait time from the United States. But I'm not sure that if North Korea is ready to talk with South Korea and the United States. But the North Korea, I think, is waiting for the South Korean the counterparts, like what South Korea listened to, what South Korea got the President Trump from the summit, and after listening to the South Korean President Moon or the special representatives the talks, and then the Chairman Kim would decide about the next move.
Well, the South Korean leader also held a series of meetings with top officials. What will be the focal point of talks with, let's start with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo? There's
talks between the Pompeo and the President Moon.
Yes.
And actually, before the summit with the President Trump, it is known that President Moon met the State Secretary Pompeo and the advisor Bolton and the
most of the top officials.
Yes.
Let's start first with Mike Pompeo and what could have been discussed, or the key talking point could have been between President Moon and the top diplomat.
Well, then the first President Moon just want to hear what kind of the thinkings of the Secretary Pompeo has got, and recently the media have reported that there are some different the voices from the Trump administration about the North Korean nuclear issues. They said Pompeo got his own argument point of view, and Bolton got the little bit different point of view, and President Trump got his version of the talks. So the President Moon want to hear exactly what Pompeo wants and what Pompeo got in terms of his political positions and the future positions, and at the top, the diplomat of the Trump administration. He want to listen to what Pompeo argues and the talks, and then the President Moon is providing kind of his point of view about how North Korea and the United States could narrow down the gaps and resume their talks in the near future. Just they want to listen and provide the kind of the South Korean point of view. And I think that the President Moon got the same kind of the point of views and the same approach with the Advisor Bolton and Vice President Pence.
For Mike Pompeo, he had this recent remarks saying that maximum pressure still on, but at the same time they want to leave room for partial sanction relief in case they see something positive from Pyongyang.
Yes, absolutely. And as you know, then there have been the very serious and important meetings in Pyongyang recently. So the Pompeo want to send some positive message to Pyongyang and South Korea.
To encourage them.
Yes, and just the wait and please don't walk away from the negotiations.
The door is still left a little bit ajar, is what he seems to be sending.
But I'm not sure about whether the U.S. is ready to provide some kind of the substantial measures to relieve the economic sanctions on North Korea.
Vice President Mike Pence hasn't been the loudest voice involved in these talks. What do you speculate that he may have addressed while talking to President Moon Jae-in?
Well, first, it is known that Vice President Pence is a very has got a strong position against North Korea nuclear issues, and he's also very negative about the human rights issues, abuse of North Korea. So he often criticized the North Korean situations. So that's why the North Korean official strongly criticized the Vice President Pence, but for the first summer last year. So we got some kind of difficult situations. So the President Moon want to hear what the Vice President Pence wants and his point of view. And I don't think that the Vice President Pence got the strong negative the arguments. I don't think that he showed that kind of the negative the point of view to President Moon, but because the Vice President, the Pence, is also the part of the negotiation teams of the Trump administration. So he's also following what President Trump wants. So I think that although the Vice President Pence got could have a little bit different point of view from President Trump about the North Korean issue, but the Vice President Pence just repeat the Trump administration's official point of views arguments about North Korea, and after talking about that thing, and President Moon just exchanged his opinion about the North Korean matters, just that kind of process, because as you mentioned, the Vice President Pence has not shown his own the point of view, the arguments recently. He just supporting what President Trump argues the ones about North Korea recently.
Right. Arguably the most hawkish figure among the top officials is, of course, John Bolton. Some say that he may have been a big contributing factor in the recent Hanoi summit, in contrast to the summit before that, where he was left a little bit in the back burner.
Well, I don't think that he was just sidelined or just excluded from the negotiations.
In the initial one before the Hanoi summit?
No, I don't think so, because they got the Trump administration. I think they got just one team from the beginning. But there's sometimes, in terms of the changes in the situations of the negotiation,
different rotation.
Yes, rotations, and sometimes the Pompeo emerged, and the other times Bolton emerged, or something like that. And I also think that Bolton and Pompeo, they just got their different roles of play, like the good cop and bad
cop.
yes, and the director has been the President Trump. They are just the absolutely perfect one team. So, you know, and I think that before the Hanoi summit, the Trump administration, the top officials, including the President Trump, they got the internal review or the evaluations about the upcoming Hanoi summit. And they got their own decisions about what the plans they would have, like Plan A or Plan B or the no deal or something like that. And they got their own the internal reviews and they got their positions. And they just expressed, they just showed what they decided in Hanoi. So they just shared their roles.
Right. Coincidentally, this summit is happening on a rather historic date for South Korea, for Korea as a whole, in terms of our fight for independence. And perhaps that could also mean that some of the officials for President Moon Jae-in may have been needed here in home ground. So what about the officials that's accompanying President Moon to the summit? What can we expect from them?
Well, the summit for today's summit?
Yeah, today's summit.
Well,
we also had a big anniversary event here in Korea, so some of the top officials might have been needed to be here in Korea, so may have not been able to accompany President Moon Jae-in.
Well, you know, it's not easy to connect the two historic events, but you know, and if we could hear the positive outcomes from Washington, you know, it would be the good signal, the good sign for the South Korea's historic event.
Convenience of marking two dates on one two events in one date, in some sense, I suppose.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, we're hoping to see that happen, of course. We are also seeing President Moon Jae-in under pressure, in some sense, right, from the rest of the world to continue to produce greater results. What can you say about that growing expectations?
Well, you know, it is true that President Moon got some pressure in terms of leading the U.S., North Korea-U.S. negotiations. But I also think that the international community fully recognized how hard it is for President Moon to lead the two countries. And they got the two countries have got the very different arguments, point of views. And you know, from my experience, that I often got some kind of the dialogue with the international communities, like the diplomatic, the public diplomacy or something like that. And interestingly, many international community or the international experts got the strong point of view that North Korea first completes the denuclearization, and then U.S. needed to provide the corresponding measures. So they got the very strong point of views about the North Korea's denuclearization. So if we think that kind of the strong point of views of the international community, you know, and what South Korea is trying to do could be seen that the South Korea is going through very tough situations. So I think that the many international community players just appreciate what President Moon is doing, and you know, if President Moon could make a progress in terms of the bring the two countries back on the dialogue table and could lead the negotiations and just to contribute to the making the substantial progress, then many of the international the players just evaluate that kind of achievement, that kind of outcomes positively. So I don't think that international players got the high expectations about what the President Moon is doing. So I don't think that the President Moon got the serious pressure from international players.
Well, they will see every inch as a mile of accomplishment. What about from locally, from within South Korea? We are not the most patient of the lot, right?
Yes, because still, and the majority of the South Korean people have supported what the President Minister has been doing. So, South Korean people have got the many experiences in terms of dealing with the North Korean nuclear issues. So some people are pessimistic about the North Korean denuclearization, but still, as I mentioned, the majority of people got their positive views about the North Korea's denuclearization. So they still got the hope that North Korea completes the denuclearization, and they want to live in the territory without any nuclear weapons.
What can you say about the fearful or the negative sentiment about changing the status quo in South Korea? Some here might feel that it's too drastic of a change to suddenly tear down the wall and reunify the two Koreas.
Well, in terms of the reunification of the Korean Peninsula, it will take some time before we got some kind of consensus from our people and the people of North Korea. And only when we got the good consensus from two people, then we may start the reunification process. Before the consensus, we need to have the two political systems, South and North Korean systems, just live together peacefully. And it's kind of some kind of the period, and then if the two people want, and we could start the reunification process. And and what I want to also say is that many people have not seen the substantial progress in terms of the North Korea's denuclearization. Because they have not seen the substantial progress, they still not trust whether or not Chairman Kim has got the sincere will to denuclearize its country. So if we could see some substantial progress from North Korea, then many South Korean people who got the pessimistic views about that matter, they could change. They could change their point of view, and many of them could have some kind of positive outcomes or the expectations.
Other than possibly making some grand, bold step forward in terms of denuclearization or cultural exchanges with South Korea, what can North Korea do to earn South Korea's trust, at least the public's trust?
And denuclearization is the key to everything about the matter. But we already talked much about the importance of mutual trust. So denuclearization is very important, but enhancing the mutual trust between the two Koreas is the cornerstone of the marching toward the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. So if North Korea implements the agreements that it got with the South Korea, we got the two important the joint statements of the declarations between the two Koreas last year, the 427, the Panmunjom Declaration, and 919, the Pyongyang Declaration. So the North Korea, if North Korea implements that kind of agreements, then the people of South Korea could think that North Korea got the sincere will to maintain the peaceful environment of the Korean Peninsula, and with that kind of the measures that could enhance the mutual trust between the two Koreas, then the people of the two countries, South Korea and North Korea, they could enhance their trust for each other. Then, if we secure the peaceful environment, like the peaceful or the no war situations on the Korean Peninsula, then we could have some kind of the cornerstone of the marching toward the denuclearization. So for the Korean people, and the maintaining the peaceful situation, peaceful the security environment is by far important the cornerstone. And then based on that kind of situation, if we could move on to the denuclearization of the North Korea and the Korean Peninsula, it couldn't be better, I think.
Right. With the talks which should be underway, how do you anticipate President Moon Jae-in approaching this discussion to try and possibly thaw the mood between the two sides? What topic do you think will come out first?
Well, and still, we already got the many agreements between the two Koreas, but the North Korea is hesitant or reluctant to implementing those agreements because North Korea want to see some kind of progress in terms of their talks with United States. So, what President Moon is trying to do is to resume the talks between North Korea and the U.S. And if two countries could see some substantial progress in terms of the North Korea denuclearization and the U.S. corresponding measures, then North Korea would be more willing to talk with the South Korea in terms of implementing the agreements between the two Koreas. So first, we need to see the substantial progress in terms of the North Korea-U.S. negotiations. Then, the good positive the cooperation between the two Koreas could be followed.
So naturally, when President Moon Jae-in sat down for talks with President Donald Trump, the first topic would possibly be partial relief for North Korea, since we don't have North Korea at the discussion table at this point.
Well, and I think that President Moon and President Trump are talking about that kind of matter, but I'm not sure whether they could have the positive outcomes or the agreements about the U.S. providing that kind of partial sanction relief for the resuming talks with North Korea. I'm not sure about that, but they are talking about the matter, and if U.S. agrees to provide that kind of partial relief, I'm not talking about the core of the UN economic sanctions. I'm talking about kind of some partial relief in terms of the economic cooperation between the two Koreas. I don't think that at this point U.S. could provide any kind of relief the measures touching the core of the UN's and the economic sanctions on North Korea. I don't think so. But and kind of a low-level the relief, it could be possible for United States or the President Trump to think about just provide some kind of the exemptions or the partial relief about the economic cooperations between the two Koreas. But still, although the President Trump agrees to provide partial relief for that matter, President Trump want to wait until he listens what North Korea, how North Korea responds to that kind of the proposal or the kind of the progress. So only after listening to the North Korea about that kind of situation, then the U.S. would agree to reveal that kind of the progress to the public, and then we could see the more the positive or the active the contact between the working level the officials between North Korea and the United States.
It feels like not too long ago when we had Stephen Biegun talking about opening up for humanitarian assistance to North Korea. Has it stopped there, or will the U.S. Consider trying to be more open or trying to offer something more to the North Korean regime? Of course, sanctions relief seems to be out of the questions at this point, but what other offer could the U.S. provide to the North?
Well, think about what first draft the two countries got in Hanoi. The internet, the media, the Vox, reported that the North Korea and the U.S. got the agreement, or they got the draft in terms of the Hanoi the declaration, and what they reported included that U.S. could provide some low-level security guarantee measures along with some kind of partial relief in terms of the inter-Korean economic cooperations. And the security guarantee measures include like the provided liaison office between the two countries, and the peace declaration, or the end to the war declaration, and the humanitarian aid or something like that, and the returning of the remains of American soldiers, and the permanent stop in terms of the nuclear and missile tests by the North Korea, or something. So that's the measure that the North Korea could provide. So the liaison office, peace declaration, and also the economic just the partial relief for the economic cooperation between the two Koreas. So I think that U.S. is ready to provide low-level security guarantee measures along with some kind of the partial economic sanction relief about the inter-Korean economic cooperation project or something like that.
Did Washington want to have this summit as much as South Korea did? And if that's the case, what did they seek to gain through this discussion or this sit-down?
Well, first, just to go back to Hanoi, and in terms of the draft they got, if North Korea could have provided some kind of decision that North Korea would completely dismantle the Yongbyon nuclear capabilities, and probably some other the nuclear capabilities or the facilities, but just focusing on the Yongbyon nuclear capabilities. So if North Korea completely freeze and dismantle Yongbyon nuclear facilities, then U.S. could have provided some low-level the security guarantee measures and some partial relief on the economic sanctions. So because the Yongbyon takes the pretty good the portion of the North Korea's nuclear facility with the capabilities. So Yongbyon got some kind of symbolic meaning in terms of the dismantling North Korea's nuclear capabilities.
Let's shift our focus a little bit to North Korea this time, the ones that's not in the picture of discussions between the two sides. North Korea, there were important meetings involving the Workers' Party, the Supreme People's Assembly, and its leader Kim Jong-un pointed out that they will never give in to sanctions. What do you make of that comment, which came almost right before the summit between Presidents Moon Jae-in and Donald Trump?
Well, what I understood from the North Korean the media's report is that the North Korea still maintaining its new line, not just the working hard toward the economic socialist the economic the development or something like that. And to do that, first internally, the North Korea is trying to work hard by its people instead of relying on the outside the forces or the United States. So
And
that's
I'm okay with that, to be honest.
Okay, let's go to
I
the
think
scene.
you
Let's
have
hear
to
what
be
the two
okay with that.
leaders discussed.
And South Korea is doing certain things to help out with food and various other things for North Korea. And we'll be discussing different things inside. Again, the relationship is a much different relationship than it was 2 years ago. You remember what that was all about. And certainly during the Obama administration, where nuclear weapons were being tested often, where rockets and missiles were being sent up, in many cases over Japan. And we are in a much different situation right now. So we'll be discussing that very much, actually.
Mr. President, do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing. And I know there is something having to do with Julian Assange. I've been seeing what's happened with Assange, and that will be a determination, I would imagine, mostly by the Attorney General, who's doing an excellent job. So he'll be making a determination. I know nothing really about him. It's not my deal in life.
What would you like to see happen? What punishment?
I don't really have any opinion. I know the Attorney General will be involved in that, and he'll make a decision. Okay?
Mr. President, are you pleased that your Attorney General yesterday said that there was spying into your campaign in 2016?
Yes, I am. I think what he said was absolutely true. There was absolutely spying into my campaign. I'll go a step further. In my opinion, it was illegal spying, unprecedented spying, and something that should never be allowed to happen in our country again. And I think his answer was actually a very accurate one, and a lot of people saw that, and a lot of people understand, many people understand the situation and want to be open to that situation. Hard to believe it could have happened, but it did. There was spying in my campaign, and his answer was a very accurate one.
Mr. President, have you considered a third summit with North Korea's chairman in mind, and does that also include...
It could happen. A third summit could happen, and it's step by step. It's not a fast process. I've never said it would be. It's step by step. I enjoyed the summits. I enjoy being with the chairman. I think it's been very productive, and it really is. It's a step by step. It's not going to go fast. I've been telling you that for a long time. If it goes fast, it's not going to be the proper deal.
Is a three-way summit with the leaders of the two
Well, that could
Koreas
happen also. I think that would be largely dependent on Chairman Kim, because President Moon will do what's necessary. I know President Moon has been fighting this battle for a long time. He's done an excellent job. I consider him a great ally. And a lot of good things are happening. A lot of good things are happening in the world. Our economy is the best it's ever been. Our employment numbers, unemployment and employment, are the best they've ever been. We have more people working right now in the United States than we've ever had before, almost 160 million people. And likewise, South Korea is doing very well. Their economy is doing very well, and I think our trade deal has helped that process. So we're sitting on two great countries right now, and we're leading two great countries, and we think that, I can speak for myself, and I think I can speak for President Moon, we think that North Korea has tremendous potential, and really potential under the leadership of Kim Jong-un. Let's see how it all works out.
Mr. President, have you communicated with Kim Jong-un in the last few weeks since you told us?
I don't want to comment on that, but we have a very good relationship.
Mr. President, on the Mueller report, are you concerned that Barr said that he's not going to redact that report to protect your reputation?
No, I'm not concerned about anything because, frankly, there was no collusion and there was no obstruction. And we never did anything wrong. The people that did something wrong were the other side, the dirty cops and a lot of the problems that were caused. It's a disgrace what happened. And again, it should never happen to a president again. You're just lucky I happen to be the president, because a lot of other presidents would have reacted much differently than I reacted. You're very lucky I was the president during the scam, during the Russian hoax, as I call it. So, no, I'm not concerned at all. The bottom line, the result is no collusion, no obstruction, and that's the way it is. And I know a lot of people were very disappointed, but they knew the real answer. You know, when the Democrats go behind the scenes and they go into a room backstage and they sit and they talk, they laugh because they know it's all a big scam, a big hoax. And it's called politics, but this is dirty politics, and this is actually treason. It's a very bad thing that people have done. And I just hope that law enforcement takes it up because if they don't take it up, they're doing a great disservice to our country. Yes, go ahead, please.
Shared defense costs with South Korea. Are you thinking of long-term agreement instead of
No, we're talking about long-term, and we always talk about long-term. We want to have long-term. Our relationship with South Korea is extraordinary, and we only think in terms of long-term with South Korea. Okay?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
will you discuss about resume of Daejeon Industrial Complex and Mount Gunggan?
Explain that to me, please.
How much do you support my president's push for economic concessions, which includes the resumption of the joint inter-Korean industrial complex and perhaps even the...
Well, at the right time, I would have great support. This isn't the right time, but at the right time, I'd have great support with North Korea. Great support. I think that South Korea, and I think Japan, and I think that the U.S., I think a lot of countries will be helping. China, I really believe will help. I think that Russia will help. I think a lot of countries will help. When the right deal is made and when the nuclear weapons are gone, I just think that North Korea has potential as great as anything I've ever seen in terms of potential. They have an unbelievable location, surrounded by sea on two sides, and on the other side, Russia, China, and over here, South Korea. You just can't do better than that. And they have magnificent land. It has tremendous potential.
트럼프 대통령님께 질문을 드리고 싶은데요. 똑같이 북한이 그 비핵화에 관한 완전한 로드맵을 제출을 한다고 한다면 북한에 관한 그 일부 제재 해제에 관한 문제를 오늘 이 자리에서 논의를 하실 계획이신지 좀 두 분 다 말씀 좀 부탁드리겠습니다.
So the question was, if North Korea actually submits a roadmap regarding complete denuclearization, are you two, the two presidents, will you be discussing this issue at the summit meeting today?
Yes, we will. We will be discussing it. Certainly, that's a very prime topic for our meeting today, and we hope that's going to happen. Yes.
Is your position still that sanctions should stay in place on North Korea until there is denuclearization, or are you willing to consider easing sanctions to keep the talks going?
No, we want sanctions to remain in place, and frankly, I had the option of significantly increasing them. I didn't want to do that because of my relationship with Kim Jong-un. I did not want to do that. I didn't think it was necessary. As you know, a couple of weeks ago, I held it back. But I think that sanctions are right now at a level that's a fair level, and I really believe something very significant is going to happen. We could always increase them, but I didn't want to do that at this time.
Mr. President, would you accept a smaller deal to keep the process going, as President Moon called it?
I'd have to see what the deal is. There are various smaller deals that maybe could happen. Things could happen. You can work out step-by-step pieces, but at this moment, we're talking about the big deal. The big deal is we have to get rid of the nuclear weapons. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. You know, there are 15 players capable of winning, and I guess you could say there are a lot more than that. They're great players. I don't think a field for the Masters has ever been this deep. I was watching late last night, and they were going over the different players. I think the field has never been so deep, but always Phil and Tiger and Dustin. I mean, you have so many great players, but they were just saying, they're younger, they're stronger, they've never hit the ball this long, they've never hit the ball this accurately, they've never putted better than they do now. You know, the whole thing is pretty incredible, but the field is very, very deep. I think it's going to be a great Masters. I hope so. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, that side. Thank you. That side right there. Thank you, Russ. Right this way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you, Russ. Thank you. Right this way. Everyone. Right this way.
There you have it, a brisk presser at the White House. President Donald Trump addressing the media and sharing his 2 cents on various topics. Perhaps the session could have been more positive if they started with talks about the Masters or golf. We are receiving more footage as we speak, and we will be providing you more footage as we move along. Here we are seeing the media frenzy here, excited to have the two leaders seated to hold their discussions and share their ideas ahead of deeper discussions. Let's have a listen one more time.
Take a hand, please. Thank you very much. It's a great honor to have President Moon of South Korea with us, and a very, very great privilege to have Mrs. Kim. Thank you very much, very much. We hope you enjoy your stay. We are discussing many, many important things, including, obviously, North Korea, the relationships with North Korea. I had, in many respects, a very good meeting. We did not fulfill what we wanted to, but in many ways, certain things were agreed to. My relationship is very good with, as you know, Chairman Kim, and I think that it will go on that way. We'll see, we'll probably know, but we'll be discussing that. We'll be discussing trade, military purchases. South Korea buys a great deal of equipment from us, especially military equipment. Please, go ahead.
네, 먼저 문 대통령을 오늘 백악관에 환영하게 되어서 매우 영광으로 생각합니다. 특히 김 여사님을 백악관에 환영하게 된 것은 아주 상당히 영광으로 생각합니다. 오늘 우리는 여러 가지 다양한 중요한 문제를 논의할 것입니다. 물론 북한과의 관계에 대해서 논의할 것입니다. 우리가 지금까지는 북한과의 아주 좋은 회의를 가졌지만 원하는 목적을 달성하지는 못했습니다. 하지만 여러 문제에 있어서 서로 합의에 이른 것이 사실입니다. 우리는 김정은 위원장과 좋은 관계를 가지고 있습니다. 물론 앞으로 어떻게 진행이 될지는 두고 봐야 되겠습니다. 한국과 또 여러 가지 무역이라든지 군사 문제에 있어서 우리는 여러 가지를 논의하게 될 것입니다. 한국은 여러 장비, 특히 군사 장비 등등을 미국에서 많이 구매를 하고 있습니다.
We've just recently completed a new and very, very large trade deal with South Korea, and it's just now going into effect, and it will very much increase trade both ways between our two countries. It's a very important transaction and something we've been working on for quite a while. I know that for years they've been working on trying to redo it, and we have a new deal, and it's been, I think, very, very good for both our countries. Big difference.
우리는 최근에 한국과 미국 간에 상당히 중요한 무역 거래를 또 타결을 하였습니다. 그리고 지금 곧 효력이 발생할 예정입니다. 이 협정은 양국의 무역을 증진하게 될 것이고 아주 상당히 중요한 거래입니다. 이 협상에 대해서 오랫동안 우리가 재계약의 합의를 타결을 했습니다만은 이번 타결로 인해서 양국 모두에게 상당한 이익이 올 것으로 생각이 됩니다.
President Moon and South Korea have agreed to purchase a tremendous amount of our military equipment, from jet fighters to missiles to lots of other things, and we make the finest equipment in the world by far, and we appreciate the purchase. It's a very large purchase, and we always appreciate that.
문 대통령께서는 미국의 여러 군사 장비를 구매할 것으로 결정을 하셨습니다. 거기에는 제트 전투기라든지 미사일 그 외에 여러 가지 장비가 있습니다. 미국은 세계 최고의 그러한 장비를 만드는 나라입니다. 하지만 이런 큰 구매를 해주신 데 대해서 감사드립니다.
I think I can say that our relationship has never been better. Our relationship is on a personal basis, very, very close. First ladies, likewise, extremely close. And I think that that will continue for a long time into the future, forever.
우리 두 사람의 관계도 상당히 좋습니다. 우리 양국의 관계도 물론 좋습니다만은 그 어느 때보다도 한미 양국의 관계는 지금 더욱더 아주 긴밀합니다. 개인적으로도 우리가 긴밀한 관계를 가지고 있지만 두 영부인들도 상당히 아주 가까운 그런 관계를 가지고 있습니다. 이 좋은 관계는 우리 양국 간에 또 우리 개인들 간에 앞으로 영원할 것입니다.
So we'll be having individual meetings later on and all throughout the day with different people from different departments and representatives. The president and myself will be meeting right now in the Oval Office. Then we'll meet with our groups in the cabinet room, as you know, and I think it'll be very productive. It's going to be a very productive day. I just do want to tell you that great progress has been made and a great relationship has been made in North Korea, too. Kim Jong-un has been really somebody that I've gotten to know very well and respect, and hopefully, and I really believe that over a period of time, a lot of tremendous things will happen. I think North Korea has a tremendous potential, and I believe that President Moon agrees with that, and we will be discussing that and even potential meetings, further meetings with North Korea and Kim Jong-un. So I want to extend my warmest wishes to the people of South Korea, and I think indirectly I can truly say I want to extend my warmest wishes to Kim Jong-un and the people of North Korea. I think the relationship has become far different and far better than it was when I first took office, or at the end, certainly, of the Obama administration. And it's a great honor to be with you, Mr. President, and thank you very much.
오늘 우리는 그 1대1 정상 간의 회의를 할 것이고, 또 하루 종일 여러 부처 담당자들이 한미 간에 많은 그 회의를 하게 될 것입니다. 먼저 나는 문 대통령과 집무실에서 회의를 할 것이고, 또 이것이 끝난 다음에는 캐비넷 룸에서 여러 강요들과 함께 좀 더 큰 회의를 할 것입니다. 오늘 상당히 생산적인 하루, 생산적인 회의가 될 것으로 생각합니다. 북한에 관해서 말씀드리자면은 아주 많은 진전이 있었다고 생각이 됩니다. 그리고 아주 좋은 관계를 우리가 가지고 있습니다. 나는 김정은 위원장을 아주 잘 알게 되었고 지금 존경하고 있습니다. 희망하건대 앞으로 시간이 가면서 좋은 일이 일어나기를 바라고 있습니다. 북한은 아주 커다란 잠재력을 가지고 있습니다. 그리고 그 잠재력에 대해서는 문 대통령도 동의를 하고 계십니다. 따라서 북한 문제에 대해서 논의할 것이고, 또 북한의 잠정적인 우리 어떤 잠재력을 가지고 있는 우리 다음 회의에 대해서도 또 잠재적으로 논의를 하게 될 것입니다. 여기에서 한국 국민들에게 그 안부를 전하고 싶습니다. 그와 동시에 김 위원장과 또 북한 주민들에게도 안부를 전합니다. 우리는 그 북한과의 좋은 관계를 지금 가지고 있습니다. 내가 대통령이 되기 전에 오바마 행정부라든지 이러한 것이 되기 전에보다 지금 훨씬 더 좋은 관계를 가지고 있습니다. 앞으로도 계속 그 대화하게 되기를 바랍니다.
예, 감사합니다. 우리 내외를 백악관으로 초청해 주시고 또 이렇게 따뜻하게 환대해 주셔서 감사드립니다. 특히 어제는 저희가 머무는 그 영빈관으로 트럼프 대통령께서 아주 아름다운 꽃다발과 함께 직접 서명한 카드를 보내주셨습니다. 그렇게 세심하게 마음을 써주신 것에 대해서 아주 감동을 받았습니다. 특히 우리 제 아내가 아주 큰 감동을 받았습니다.
Mr. President, I would like to thank you for inviting our couple to the White House and also warmly welcoming us. In particular, last night at the Blue House, I saw the flowers, the beautiful flowers that you had sent with a personally signed card. I was really moved by your meticulous care, and especially my wife was moved.
먼저 미국에 두 가지 감사를 표하고 싶습니다. 첫 번째는 얼마 전에 한국의 강원도에서 큰 산불이 발생했는데 그때 주한 미군에서 헬기를 보내주는 등으로 해서 진화 작업에 큰 도움을 주었습니다. 많은 한국 사람들이 감사하고 있습니다.
In particular, I have two accounts on which I would like to express my gratitude to the United States. First, recently there was a big forest fire in Korea in the province of Gangwon. At the time, the USFK supported us through the provision of many helicopters, and this really helped us put out the fire, and lots of Korean people were very grateful for this.
Thank you.
두 번째로는 오늘은 대한민국 임시정부가 수립된 100주년이 되는 우리 한국 국민들에게는 대단히 의미 있는 날입니다. 미국 의회 하원과 상원에서 그 대한민국 임시정부 수립 100주년을 기념하는 그런 결의안을 발의해 주신 것에 대해서 감사드리고 싶습니다.
And today is a meaningful day for all the Korean people because it marks the centenary anniversary of the establishment of the Provisional Government of Korea. And I heard that both at the Senate and at the House, they introduced a resolution celebrating this momentous day. So I'd like to thank you for that also.
Thank you.
작년 6월 12일 트럼프 대통령께서 북한의 김정은 위원장과 회담을 가진 이후에 한반도 정세에는 아주 극적인 변화가 있었습니다. 그 전까지는 북한의 거듭되는 미사일 실험과 핵실험으로 인해서 군사적 긴장이 아주 팽배했고 그것이 언제 터질지 모르는 일촉즉발의 그 위기 상황에 있었는데 트럼프 대통령께서 김정은 위원장과 직접 만나신 이후에 한반도의 군사적 긴장은 대폭 완화되고 아주 평화로운 그런 분위기가 감도게 되었습니다. 그리고 북한의 핵 문제조차도 트럼프 대통령께서 대화로서 반드시 해결해낼 것이라는 믿음을 우리 한국 국민들은 가지고 있습니다. 이 한반도 정세의 극적인 변화는 전적으로 우리 트럼프 대통령의 아주 강력한 또 탁월한 리더십 덕분이라고 믿습니다. 감사드립니다.
And after you had met Chairman Kim in Singapore on June 12th last year, we have witnessed a dramatic turnaround regarding the political situation on the Korean Peninsula. Previously, because of the repeated nuclear and missile tests from North Korea, we saw that the military tension at the time had been at its greatest, and we were in a very precarious situation. However, since you met Chairman Kim and you initiated personal diplomacy with him, we saw the dramatic, significant reduction of military tension on the Korean Peninsula, and now peace has prevailed. And also in terms of North Korean nuclear problem, now, all the Korean people have now we believe that you will be able to solve this problem through a dialogue. So I have to say that this dramatic turnaround that we have witnessed is solely down to your strong leadership.
Thank you very much.
그렇게 생각한다면 지난번 제2차 하노이 이게 북미 정상회담도 결코 실망한 일이 아니라 더 큰 합의로 나아가기 위한 그런 과정이라고 생각합니다.
Well, in this sense, I believe that the Hanoi summit was not a source of disappointment, but it is actually the part of a bigger process that will lead us to a bigger agreement.
그래서 이제 그 중요한 것은 대화의 모멘텀을 계속 유지시켜 나가고 또 가까운 시일 내에 제3차 북미회담이 열릴 수 있으리라는 그런 전망을 세계에 심어주는 것이 중요하다고 생각합니다.
So the important task that we face right now is to maintain the momentum of dialogue and also express the positive outlook regarding the third U.S.-North Korea summit to the international community that this will be held in the near future.
그 점에 대해서 트럼프 대통령께서 계속해서 김정은 위원장에게 신뢰를 표명해 주시고 이렇게 북한이 대화의 궤도에서 이탈하지 않도록 이렇게 잘 관리해 주신 것에 대해서 아주 높이 평가하며 감사 말씀드리고 싶습니다.
So in this regard, I'd like to express my high regard for how you have continued to express your trust towards Chairman Kim, and also you have made sure that North Korea does not deviate from the dialogue track. I would like to express my gratitude for this.
우리 한국은 미국과 함께 북한의 완전한 비핵화의 최종적인 상태, 그 비핵화의 목표에 대해서 완벽하게 동일한 생각을 가지고 있고, 그 다음에 또 피셀 틈 없는 그런 공조로 완전히 문제가 끝날 때까지 공조해 나갈 것이라는 것을 약속드리겠습니다.
And let me reiterate that the Republic of Korea is absolutely on the same page when it comes to the end state of the complete denuclearization of North Korea. And I can reassure you that we will remain in such great collaboration with the United States. There will be no daylight until we achieve our ultimate goal.
Thank you very much. I have to go just one step further, and I want to thank China, who's really helped us a lot at the border. I also want to thank Russia, because they have helped us, and they've helped us quite a bit more than people think at the border. So both China and Russia have really been quite good. That doesn't mean they can't get better, but they've been quite good at the border, and I just want to thank both of those countries. As we've said, a lot of progress has been made. We will have further dialogue, and I look forward to it. My relationship with Kim Jong-un has been a very strong relationship. I've had some very strong relationships with others, but I have a very, very good relationship with Kim Jong-un, and I think you see that, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully it'll end up in a great solution for everybody and ultimately a great solution for the world, because it is about the world. It's more than just this area. It's about the world. And frankly, the world is watching. I want to thank you for your leadership. Your leadership has been outstanding, and I look forward to talking about other things also, and in particular, all of that equipment that you're buying. We like that in the United States. We like that you buy our great equipment. So again, thank you very much, and thank you for your leadership. Thank you.
네, 한 가지 추가로 더 말씀드리겠습니다. 먼저 그 중국에 감사를 표하고 싶습니다. 국경 문제에 있어서 중국이 상당히 많은 일을 했습니다. 또 러시아에도 감사를 표합니다. 러시아도 다른 사람들이 생각하는 것보다 훨씬 더 국경 문제에 있어서 많은 도움을 주었습니다. 물론 그렇다고 해서 이 두 나라가 더 나아질 수 있다, 더 할 수 없다라는 것은 아닙니다만 일단 이러한 국경 문제에 있어서 도움을 준 데 대해서 감사드립니다. 우리는 많은 진전을 이뤘습니다. 그리고 앞으로 더 대화를 계속할 것입니다. 김정은 위원장은 나와 굉장히 강한 관계를 가지고 있습니다. 물론 내가 다른 세계 지도자들과 또 좋은 관계를 갖고 있지만 김 위원장과 좋은 관계를 가지고 있는 것이 사실입니다. 앞으로 더 두고 봐야겠지만은 희망한 건데 우리는 아주 상당히 좋은 결과를 낳기를 바랍니다. 이렇게 된다면 그것은 모든 사람들에게 좋을 것이고 세계에 좋을 것입니다. 이 문제는 지역 문제가 아니라 세계적인 문제입니다. 그래서 전 세계가 보고 있는 것입니다. 또 문 대통령의 지도력에 감사드립니다. 그리고 또 그 문 대통령 한국에서 미국의 장비를 구매해 주신 데서 감사드립니다. 미국은 그 미국의 장비 구매하는 나라를 굉장히 좋아합니다. 감사드립니다.
Okay. Yes, please.
Mr. President, are you on economic projects for South?
All right, there you have it. It looks like the two leaders, Professor, started things off by showering each other with praise.
Yeah, right. And the President Trump mentioned the various aspects of South Korea-U.S. relations, and talking about the various aspects of the relations, like trade, the military, and later he
Something
also
that they're thankful for.
Yes, and pretty good relations between the two countries, and it's the positive sign in terms of the reviving momentum for the talks between the United States and North Korea, because South Korea is taking the facilitating role, and President Moon need to have secure some kind of momentum to lead the talks between the two countries. So in terms of the relieving or making sure that the relations between South Korea and the U.S. are pretty good. So it is a pretty positive sign that the President Moon would continue to take the first role in terms of the close cooperation with the United States. And the President Trump also mentioned that the sanctions on North Korea would be maintained only, and the sanctions and the economic cooperation between the two Koreas could be supportive at right time. It means that if North Korea takes some kind of substantial progress or the measures in terms of denuclearizing itself, then the U.S. would be ready to support that kind of project.
Right, the most positive start. It seems like they are starting things on a very high note. We look forward to something more substantial to lay the groundworks for rebuilding trust and bridging the gap between the U.S. and North Korea in the coming days.
Yes, and I also want to say that it's just the starting point, and before the resuming talks between the North Korea and the United States. So we need to allow a little more time before the U.S. and the North Korea, the negotiations would revive or the resume. And I expect that the South Korea, in terms of the South Korea's active facilitating role, and we could see some progress in the near future.
It's a process and it's a start. Well, thank you so much for your time, Professor Min Jung-un, for being here with us at this hour.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that does it for us. This has been Daniel Che with a special coverage of the latest Seoul Washington Summit. Thank you so much for watching.